Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris Man, and as always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. At this point, as I'm taping this, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to entitle it. Something along the lines of just sharing some experiences with beginners and giving them a foresight or idea of what to expect. Because when I first started to pick up the guitar to play it, I just love playing, you know. I had no idea that I would be, let me try to catch my cat. She don't want to be bothered right now because I want to show you her. She's gotten really big. But anyway, I had no idea I was going to be doing this for a living. I just thought that I would be playing sometimes in the club and, you know, things of that nature. But I think one reason why I was kind of deterred from trying to do this on a professional level, because I initially thought this, and this is definitely not true. I thought I had to be one of the greatest guitar players on the planet to become a professional player. For every superstar that you know or hear of, like a Prince or Rick James, you know, just to name a few, there are thousands of other musicians that they get the job done, they get paid well, and you don't know their names, you know? And I fall in that category, you know. I don't claim to know everything. I don't claim to be the best guitar player, but I get the job done. And like I've said before, and I made a promise to my wife that this channel is not about me, what I've accomplished, who I've played with. It's about teaching you guys the chorus to songs that it's hard to find the sheet music if there ever was some sheet music ever printed. That's what that's about. Because I guess what kind of helped spark this video was I had one of my subscribers, so, you know, tell me about who you play with. And I'm like, I'm not here for that, you know, because I don't want to come off as I'm bragging or I know more than or better than everybody because I've played with these guys. It's not about me. It is not about me. It's about, again, teaching you guys chorus to songs that are hard to find, you know. And I'm going to share a few stories because I think these are pretty interesting stories. I remember when I was about maybe 17, 18, and I was kind of getting around the circle in Chicago as far as playing in various bands and playing behind people. You know, I once had the honor of playing behind Mark Kelly when he first started at the China Club on 22nd in Michigan, I believe. He used to come in on Thursdays and he would perform. And I told the guys, because we were the house band, I said, that guy going to be a legend. A lot of people laughed at me. I was like, no, it's just something about that guy. He's like a modern day Marvin Gaye. But it's unfortunate that the personal issues that he's dealing with overshadows the genius that he is. And I'm going to leave that alone and move on. Because I don't want to make this video or get into a debate with people about that particular guy and what he's going through right now, because that statement has nothing to do with that. So I just want to make that clear. But I remember when I was 18, and there was another guy who I won't mention name, because the reason why I won't mention his name, because of the story I'm going to tell, and at that time, don't put him in a positive light, but it's the truth, and it ain't about me trashing him. But in order to share this story, I have to share some of that information that's true. And he was making a name for himself, getting out there, and the Isley Brothers had stopped over. And he was working with the Isley Brothers at the time. And he promised them, he said, hey, I promise you guys a home-cooked meal. You come this way and blah, blah, blah. And he was dealing with a lot of issues, and drugs was one of them, you know. And I guess when you use a lot of drugs, you don't handle your business. You're late for gigs. You're late for rehearsals. You just don't handle the business because you're not in the right frame of mind. So, you know, he made these promises to a lot of people. And when they came in, he freaked out and he called me because, you know, I was working with him, and he said, man, I got the Isley Brothers coming, and, you know, I promised them a home cooked meal, nothing, you know, restaurant or store-bought stuff. And he used to break bread at my family house a lot of times. And my mother was a good cook. You know, it was my mother had 10 kids and she cooked well and kept us fed. So he said, you know, you think your mama can fix some up for them? I'm like, sure, absolutely. The Isley Bros, oh yeah, we'll make that accommodation. So they came. It was Kelly, Rudolph, and Ronald. It wasn't Ernie. Ernie wasn't there, and Chris Jasper wasn't there. And they came and they had, you know, broke bread with us. That was a pretty interesting experience, or pretty rewarding experience, because they are, let me see if I can catch my cat. They are some very down-to-earth guys. You know, I was quite impressed that they were just down-to-earth guys. They didn't have that superstar persona thing going. And what a lot of people don't know about them, and I hope one day there's a movie made about these guys, because think about this. In the 60s, they had their own record label, T-Neck. They produced their own records. They wrote their own stuff. So they were just self-contained. They didn't need any outside interference of people coming in and ripping them off and not half paying them. Because I'm going to say this because it's the truth. Back then, and even to this day, black people got a raw deal when it came to the music. Okay, you're trying to bother my cord. They got a raw deal. You know, half of those Motown people got screwed actually by their own person, own people, Berry Gordy. But anyway, but they were null and void of all of that nonsense. And I think that's one reason why they didn't get crossover appeal, because they didn't have to kiss nobody's ass. You know, they didn't have to rely on another group of people or race of people for their success. They were self-contained. Everything they did it. You know, that was amazing back then. Because, I mean, I think about it now, with the exception of all these rap labels, and the reason why the majority of these labels are up and running because of the drug thing. And I did a long video on that, because most of us don't realize what fueled the music industry and killed the music industry in the early 80s. Crack cocaine. When those guys started dealing drugs and making millions of dollars, they had to find a way to launder and had that dirty money. And almost literally overnight, record labels started popping up. And these guys didn't know shit about music. None of them are musicians. None of them are producers. You know, back in the 70s, and I think it kind of ended in the late 70s, all the record companies were run by people that knew the business, musicians, writers, producers, arrangers. This is what they did for a living, as opposed to a dude that got $1 million that he got from drugs, and he got to put it somewhere to make it legitimate money, and he knows nothing about the business that he started, and he's just a music lover. He's not a musician or producer or arranger, you know. But back then, like I told you, the Isley Brothers did all that stuff, you know, and I think that's one reason why, again, they did not get that crossover appeal, because it was kind of like they were kind of blacklisted in a sense, to say, well, since we don't have you by the balls and you can do what you want to do and tell us to blank off, you know, we don't want to bring you in, because they should have been crossover and bigger than they were then and still. You know, every blue moon now you do hear Isley Brothers song on a commercial. But I do believe that's one reason why they did not get the due that they deserve as far as that crossover appeal. Because, I mean, again, they were just totally self-contained. On music label, on record label, you know, wrote all their stuff, produced all their stuff, engineered their stuff, you know, arranged their stuff, you know. So I'm going to kind of sign off now, but I just thought I would mention that to the up-and-coming musician. As far as feeling that you got to be the best, just be good, you know. There's a niche for everybody. My niche was this, you know, this is my personal niche, and this is what got me in. When I was growing up, everybody wanted to be Prince. Everybody tried to play guitar, bass, drums, keyboard, and I was, you know, just like everybody else. I first started off as a trumpet player, and I was a pretty decent trumpet player. And what stopped me from playing trumpet and sax was, I don't have the lungs for that. I'm like, you know, the sides of my jaws are sore. So I was like, I got to get this up. You know, this ain't something that I can do on a consistent basis. Every blue moon, I play sax in my band. Sometimes I do a little solo. Say, we need a horn solo or a horn solo. We don't want a guitar solo, keyboard. Could you do it? I'm like, okay. But it's not something that I do on a regular basis, because, again, I just knew when I was a teenager with young lungs, I'm like, I can't do this. So then I picked up, what did I do next? I played bass. Yeah, I studied formal bass. And I was like, this is cool, but one note at a time is kind of boring. I want to do guitar. So I started playing guitar, took lessons. Like, this is my niche. And what I started to notice about myself was my ear was pretty good. And I was able to arrange stuff. You know, I can listen to a composition. I'm like, this should be here. This should be here. Let's do this instead of that. Let's do 3-part harmonies here. Let's do that. That was just a natural ability. And then I went and got formal lessons and understood theory. So I was like, okay, now even better. I know what I'm doing, and this is what you do. So that was my niche, because within my band, in the 2 bands that I work within, I'm the writer. I'm the arranger for most of the stuff, not all the stuff, but for most of it, because that's what I bring to the table. I got a keyboard player just phenomenal. He's a tremendous musician. He can go toe to toe with any guy out there. That's his niche. The singer, that's his niche, So we all got our niches, and it's not about, again, having to be the best, because I know I was never going to be able to fit that bill. He one of the top. No, he ain't. He's just the guy to come in and get the job done. So anybody that's trying to pursue a career in this, keep that in mind. Because again, I'm thinking, I ain't going to never be a Ernie Isley or Eddie Van Halen, so I just forget about this. I'll never be a Nile Rodgers, and I won't. But what I do gets the job done. Because again, for every handful of musicians that by name and all this, and they famous, there's thousands of guys that do what they do on a regular basis like they do, get the job done, get paid well, and nobody know their name. Because I'm one of them people personally where I don't want nobody to know my name. I've never had a desire for, hey, there he goes, here we go, I want to be the guy that walk in, nobody knows who I am, and I go do my thing and be gone. But there's some people that they do love that, I've never been one of them people that love that. I'm like, I just want to be the guy in the background that's keeping the motor running. And that's who I am, because whenever we do shows, after we do the shows, there's always somebody in the audience that has a banquet coming up, studio work or whatever. Goodbye, cat. That want to hire us. And usually come up to the lead singer, of course, and he said, talk to the guitar player. He's a little quiet dude. He's the guy that kind of put all this together, and you would never know that. But I'm going to sign off now. But again, there's a lot of accomplishments that I've made and I'm proud of, but I'm not here to talk about those. I'm not here to brag. None of that. I'm here to pass on knowledge and keep this great R&B music alive from the 60s, 70s, 80s. I'm not trashing what the young folks are doing. I respect their art and their craft, but it's different from what we were doing. I remember growing up, and I'm glad that I was a part of that era where the music you heard on the radio came from here and here. It didn't come from a laptop. It didn't come from cutting and pasting stuff. I can't play that whole piece for 5 minutes like the record wants me to. I'm going to do a portion of it, sample, and just loop it up in there, And I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, today's music is totally different from yesterday's music, Yesterday's music, you didn't need to sample other people's stuff. Yesterday's music, you needed a laptop to correct your problems. And when correcting a problem back then was just to redo it. Keep getting better. Don't make mistakes. Just get better, because you will get better if you keep practicing. And when you don't keep practicing, you don't get better. So unfortunately, some of this technology is hindering us. It's not helping us. But on that note, I'm going to sign off till next time. Take care and thanks for watching.